My name's Abigail Reagan.
And we are going to be discussing whether or not lab-grown meat is safe for human consumption.
So before we can go into the topic of whether it is or isn't safe for human consumption, we have to understand what it is. So according to Post et al., lab-grown meat refers to meat developed from animal cell culture and not via traditional raising and slaughter of living animals. Lab-grown meat is also called in vitro meat or cultured meat, and it is created through the culturing of embryonic stem cells that are converted into meat tissue.
So why was lab-grown meat created? Well, the idea was first introduced by Dutch psychologist Willem van Allen, and in light of his thinking, NASA was the first group to materialize his idea in the early 2000s. This is when scientists were searching for an alternative to unappetizing space food. And then it did not take long for additional support of this method of production to arise, including an increasing demand for meat production due to a rising global population. Before we can start to analyze whether or not lab-grown meat is safe for human consumption, we have to have a basic understanding of how meat is grown in the lab. So the most talked about and studied technique is the scaffold-based technique. It has been shown to be best fit for large-scale production, which is what companies in the meat industry would be looking for before adopting this method of production. To start the process, scientists have to secure a bioreactor. This is a large enclosed space that allows cells to retain the correct fluids and undergo movement, which is vital for growth. And then scientists can obtain stem cells from animals such as chicken or cattle. It is preferred that scientists obtain satellite stem cells specifically because they are already accustomed to regenerating muscle tissue in an animal after injury, therefore they can more easily regenerate muscle tissue in a lab than any other stem cells. When the stem cells are saturated in a nutrient serum before reproducing, and the next is the proliferation phase. This is when scientists attempt to retrieve the maximum number of stem cells that had reproduced from the original stem cells and then place them onto a flexible scaffold. This scaffold has several pores that allow a growth serum to flow in and out of the cells as they proliferate, and it also stretches the muscle cells to increase their protein content and size.
There we go.
And then next, scientists utilize a tissue engineering technique that allows the cells to form together to imitate the structure of a muscle. And the final product is a fully grown muscle tissue that can be collected by scientists and then packaged, sold, cooked, and consumed.
In support of lab-grown meat, so one point of support is that lab-grown meat has a decreased potential for contamination. So traditional farming techniques have a lot of potential for spread of disease and foodborne pathogens. According to Schwartz, meat will be free of foodborne pathogens, that is lab-grown meat. That's because the lab environment can be a controlled and sanitary environment, and we can feel a lot more comfortable with that meat production. Another supporting point is antibiotics and hormones. There's been a rise in antibiotic resistance, especially in America. We have a tendency to just take antibiotics for any kind of sickness we have. So current overuse of antibiotics in farming practices, especially for producing food and producing like chicken, meat, trying to make everything bigger and create more food out of food we don't originally have. In vitro meat is almost completely antibiotic free, and this will lead to a reduction in antibiotic consumption. And the last supporting point is the nutritional benefits. So nutritional regulation is another benefit. So macronutrients can be controlled, especially for those who follow vegan or vegetarian diets who struggle to get in their macronutrients, that is protein. They can benefit from a man-made nutrient-dense food. Better control of protein intake can lead to better overall health and nutritional balance and better function of American society.
So although it may seem that there are many benefits to lab-grown meat, there's also a lot of negatives. For example, it can be argued that the novelty of this type of production is just too great. Traditional meat production has been around for thousands of years, while lab-grown meat was only first materialized around 20 years ago. And going along with the novelty of it, there is simply a lack of historical evidence proving that it is safe for human consumption. And generating muscle tissue has been done in the past. However, it has been mostly used for medical implants and research, not for human consumption. And when things being reviewed for human consumption, there is an increase in the level of precautions that need to be taken to ensure public safety. Building off of that safety point, one of the major concerns regarding safety of lab-grown meat is the unanticipated negative health effects. Unfortunately, several meat production companies are concealing the specific genetic engineering process that they use or will be using to create lab-grown meat. They're doing this by waiting to patent their production process. This naturally raises some concern in the public as to what information is being kept from them that could affect their health. But one detail that has been disclosed to the public that also raises a major concern is that some of these meat companies may be involving oncogenes in their genetic engineering process, which, without knowing the severe consequences that they can have. Oncogenes have potential cancer-promoting properties because they can cause uncontrollable cell division. And a study from Harvard Medical School also discovered that as stem cells grow in a lab dish, as they would be doing in the lab-grown meat process, they often acquire mutations in the TP53 gene. The TP53 gene is a significant tumor suppressor, and when mutated, it can act as an oncogene. This shows that there's a potential to be a significant number of oncogenes in lab-grown meats, which could raise our chances of developing cancer in our lifetime to 90%. Overall, I decided that lab-grown meat is not yet safe for human consumption. There is simply stronger evidence out there to suggest the risks other than the benefits. I believe that more research needs to be done. It is hard to rule a food product as safe for human consumption when so little is known about it. In addition, the high risk of creating cancer-causing cells is a big red flag and should raise concern to many scientists, and it definitely is a problem that needs to be solved before letting lab-grown meat be open to the public. And also, scientists can make mistakes. Growing meat in a lab can result in, there could be many unnoticed mistakes that happen in the lab that are then transferred onto the lab-grown meat, which could negatively affect our health.
And I also said that lab-grown meat is not safe for human consumption. There are many potential unknown risks that come with the process. Potential presence of byproducts, inputs, and outputs from the new manufacturing processes that we are not very familiar with, and potential allergenicity problems for human digestive systems, as well as the process is still early in its stages. We don't know enough about it, and I just don't think it's a good idea yet. Okay? And these are our sources. Thank you.
Thank you very much.